Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're taking a special guided tour of a really foundational course for any future lawyer, Fundamentals of Economics for Lawyers. We're going to pull back the curtain on what it is, why it's so important, and how it can totally change the way you think about the law. So let's jump right in. It's a good question, right? On the surface, law and economics can feel like they're from completely different planets. One's all about justice and rules, the other's about money and markets. But, as you're about to see, they are way more connected than you probably think. All right, here's our game plan for this tour. First, we'll tackle the big why. Then, we'll fill up your toolkit with some essential economic ideas. After that, we'll see those tools at work in the courtroom, check out how the course makes it all happen, and finally, we'll see the powerful new legal lens you walk away with. Okay, so let's get into that first big question. Why on earth should a future lawyer be studying economics? Well, it really all comes down to learning to see the invisible forces, the hidden architecture that holds up and sometimes puts pressure on our entire legal system. This line, right from the official course description, gets straight to the point. See, laws don't just pop up out of nowhere. They're built in response to economic situations, and in turn, they create new economic consequences. This course is all about connecting those dots. And listen, this isn't just about Wall Street or big finance. Not at all. It's about the basic logic of how people make choices, how incentives work, and how we deal with scarcity. That's the economic DNA you'll learn to spot inside pretty much everything, from contract law to environmental rules, and yeah, even criminal justice. So if that's the why, let's get into the what. What are the actual tools you're going to add to your legal toolkit to start seeing this economic DNA everywhere? First up, you'll get a real handle on microeconomics. Think of this like looking through a microscope. It's all about the nitty-gritty decisions that individual people and single companies make. Why does one company decide to merge? How does one person react to a new tax? These small-scale choices are the actual building blocks of the whole legal and economic world. And then we zoom all the way out to macroeconomics. This is the 30,000-foot view. We're talking about those huge, powerful currents that affect everyone. Things like inflation, unemployment, and GDP. These forces shape the entire environment that all of our laws have to operate in. And this is where the theory gets really, really cool. You move past the basics and start tackling these messy, real-world problems. You'll dig into things called market failures. This is the whole reason we even have environmental regulations. You'll unpack the famous Coase theorem, which is this brilliant idea about property rights that can help solve disputes without anyone ever setting foot in court. And you'll even dive into behavioral economics to see how our own hidden biases can affect everything from a contract negotiation to a jury's final decision. Okay, so you've got this powerful new toolkit. And that brings us to maybe the most important part of this whole tour, actually putting it to work. How does all this theory really show up in a courtroom and change how law is practiced? At the heart of so many legal battles, you'll find this constant tug of war between two big ideas: efficiency and equity. Economics gives you the language to talk about this trade-off. Is the main goal of a law to make the economic pie as big as humanly possible? That's efficiency. Or is the goal to slice that pie up so that everyone gets a fair share? That's equity. And here's the kicker. It's almost impossible to perfectly achieve both at the exact same time. And you'll be applying this lens to some very real, very current legal fields. When you're analyzing an antitrust case against a huge tech company, you are doing economic analysis. When you argue about how long a patent should last, you're having an economic debate about innovation. The same thing goes for international trade disputes. The economics are just baked right into the law. So we know the why and the what, but how does this course actually forge these skills? Because let me tell you, it's not about just burying your nose in a textbook. It's all about learning by doing. Just a quick peek at the grading tells you a lot about the course. Yeah, there are exams, but look at this. A full 40% of your grade comes from assignments, projects, and active class participation. This is clearly not a course where you can just sit back and listen. In fact, the way you learn is incredibly active. You're going to be diving into real-life case studies, debating these really complex policy issues, and even participating in mock trials and role-playing exercises. It's all about building that analytical muscle memory, not just memorizing a bunch of definitions from a book. And all of this, the theory, the practice, the debates, it all leads us to our final stop on the tour, the ultimate outcome. After all this work, what's the big payoff? It's about walking away with a completely new way of seeing the law. At the end of the day, this is what you'll be able to do. You won't just know the law on the page, you'll understand its real-world economic consequences. You'll be able to look at a judge's decision and analyze its impact on the market, not just its legal precedent. You'll see how global trade deals connect to local rules and how hidden biases can sway a verdict. In short, you'll gain this analytical superpower that really sets you apart. Which brings us to this one last, really powerful question. This course shows you that every single law, every regulation has costs and benefits, basically a price tag. And by learning how to calculate that price, you become so much better equipped to argue for the true value of what matters most, justice.